Give
This
some background
conference
on.
will now be recorded.
Let it launch. Okay. So yesterday what we have done is like we have read an XML, we have converted into a JSON, and we have placed it in some other location. So yesterday, whoever is absent, just I'm giving an heads up. Like we have discussed about the differences between file, FTP, SFTP, and later on we have done some small POC on read write. Okay, so it is like we have read an XML file, it was converted into a JSON and written to another location. So these two are done. Okay, so now I want to go with any new file is also something like, yes, if any new file is placed in the folder, then it will be automatically picked up and it will be processed. Okay, scheduler is something like for every 10 seconds or for every 20 seconds it will go to the folder and it will try to read the file and it will try to, let me share the screen first. Okay, it will try to place it. Okay, let me share. Okay. Are you guys able to see my screen? Right? We are able to see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Fine. Okay, it is getting open. Let it open. Okay. So these two we have to at do. Okay, we have to at do this thing. Fine. Yeah, definitely. I will combine with web services and these two we will try to do it. I will try to, uh, we can schedule a service. Let the AnyPoint Studio, let it open first and then we will discuss. Meanwhile, okay, it is opened. Very good, well and good. Yeah, this is the thing which we have done yesterday. I think the video has also been uploaded. Please verify. Okay, I'm not sure why it is. It is loading. Okay, okay, let it load. It is closing. Okay, let it open. Meanwhile, we will discuss some background on web services so that we will not waste our time. Let it open. As the system was restarted, so it is taking bit warm up time. Let it take. Okay, fine. So now these two are left. These two anyhow we will be doing it. Meanwhile, we will try to discuss on Wisdom. Wisdom is nothing but web service. Why? Because the next immediate sample will be this one. Web service description language. Okay. Web service description language. So what is wisdom? What is wisdom? So what is the use of wisdom? Okay. First we have to understand it. So in the middleware space actually, so some people might be knowing what exactly the wisdom is, but the people who does not know, they have to understand the concept, right? So the thing is like, see, for example, I have a source system. I have target system as well. Okay. So and this target system is like, let me take it as SIP. Okay. This is something civil. Okay. My source system is civil. So some ERP systems. And usually sitting in between. Okay. Usually sitting in between. Now, okay, these guys for the source system, we don't need to worry. Why? Because Mule is going to expose an API. Expose an API in the sense we are creating the address, we are creating the Mule address and where to hit our service, that URLs we are giving to the source system. So they will configure in their submit button, and they will hit our mule service. So finally it reaches to the mule till this so till from source to mule, it is something like it is good enough. It is good enough for establishing the connection. Okay. Coming to the target system. Target system, actually this system is in such a way that it is not a they are not giving any database adapter, they are not giving any MQs or VMs. Those stuff they are not able to provide. So they are not able to provide in the sense their coding part is not fair enough to consume the messages if we are placing in DB or MQ or whatever. So they are not able to establish the connection between them. So they have a requirement like they said like they are able to expose their service as visitor as visitor. So they are saying like, hey, we are not able to read. If you are writing it in files, we are not able to read. Why? Because our coding is not supporting. If you are placing in MQ also, it is also not supported. Somehow our system is not supporting to connect to them. But we have only one and only one option, that is like giving a wisdom. So they are very clear, like they are going to expose wisdom. So for them, they know what exactly the wisdom is. That is fine. But how about us? How about me? If at all they are giving wisdom to us, then what we developers has to they have to understand something, right? Why? Because they are giving wisdom, they are throwing on our face. But we have to understand what exactly that wisdom contains, right? The requirement. Why? Because we are the persons who are going to implement the requirement. So definitely we should know it. They will not explain. See, our system is doing so and so, our system has this many operations, our system is expecting this input. That kind of information they will not make us to understand. Simply they throw their wisdom on our faces, and it is our responsibility to understand what exactly the target system is expecting. For understanding that, definitely you need to know what exactly the wisdom is and what the wisdom contains. Okay, what exactly it contains. First, we have to understand that. So, any wisdom, if they are giving any wisdom, means that by seeing that wisdom always have six elements. One is types, another is types, messages, third thing is port types, okay, service, bindings, and such. These are all the elements that usually it is not only a SAP wisdom, any wisdom, .NET wisdom, or any wisdom, any target system. If they are exposing means any wisdom will contain only these elements. Only these elements it contains. So by saying this, again you will get confusion. Hey, this having all these elements, only these elements. What does that what does that elements of wisdom resembles? We have to understand, right? So let me tell you one example. I have a Java class. Okay, simply I have one small Java class. See, I am a mule person. I don't know Java. They have written some coding like addition, subtraction. They have written. Okay, addition, subtraction, multiplication, they have written, and they have exposed it to wisdom. So multiplication, three operations they have written, and what they have done is like, so instead of SAP, let us take like Java. So they have written that in their coding language. Java means we know it, like it contains methods, it contains variables, it contains something blah blah blah. So it contains like that, right? It contains their own language. So in Java, they have written these methods. They have exposed it. Addition means, see, for this example, we know, okay, addition means two, two elements are going to add. Addition means we know like, hey, it takes two integers and it will add it and it will give the result as, after adding, it will give some result. That we know it. Subtraction also the same case. It accepts two messages and it accepts two messages and it will give the result. So that understanding we have, that basic knowledge we have, right? That result it is going to give. Same case with multiplication. If there, if at least for doing multiplication, two integers are required, and it is going to give the number product as a result. That we know. Okay? But they have written in Java language. See, I know Java, so I may understand. But think about the people who does not know Java, right? Who does not know, just they are very, very new, we can say, right? So if at all these people are converting this Java into a Java class into a WSDL, then where these operations will sit in the WSDL, we have to understand. If at all this Java is converted into a WSDL contains 5 elements. Where this integer, int A, int B will sit, where result will sit, where these operations will sit in the WSDL, that we have to understand. We have to understand that. Okay. So this is something like target system for us. They have written in their own language. For example, they have written in JSPs, they have written in servlets, whatever the case is. In Java, they have written, but these three are the methods they have written. So these people will give that wisdom to us. By seeing that wisdom, by seeing that wisdom itself, you have to understand yourself. Hey, this system is exposing three operations. It is expecting two integers, and the result also it is giving the result as integer. That we have to immediately, by seeing the wisdom, we have to understand. We have to, as a middleware person, we have to understand by seeing the wisdom itself. Hey, these people are exposing this, and which protocol they are using for communicating with each other. Everything, by seeing that, you have to understand. So how you will understand? Where, for understanding that, first you should know what exactly the wisdom is, right? So any middleware person, any middleware person, not only middle person, SOA person or OSB person, whoever is related, whoever is sitting in middleware space, that person eyes will go on port types first. Why? Because in the wisdom, port types always gives the information about the operations that are going to exposed by target system. So in this case, if at all I am taking this as an example, then here how many operations are there? Addition, operation, information, it will contain subtraction. So by seeing I immediately, if I am the resource, if any target system has given me the wisdom, so I immediately first will go on port types. I will check first the port type. I will check. I will immediately, I will see, hey, what operations they are giving, what operations are there, how many operations are exposed by target system. That information I will get by looking at port types. Okay. So long story short, port types always gives the information about the operations exposed by target system. So till here it is fine. Okay, these operations. Then middleware has to send input message, right? Two integers. Where this will sit? Where these two will sit? These two will sit. Integer A, integer B. It will be like every operation will contain message. For example, for addition, it will contain request message. Okay, request message, comma, response message. Add request, add response. Okay, it stores like a object. Okay, so this request will contain A comma B, and this add response will contain, let me assume like C. C is my result. I am assuming this. I am assuming the result as C. So here, if you are seeing in the port types, means in the port types, first operation name will be there. Inside that operation, what input it is expecting, what result it is giving. So here in this case, add request is my input, add response message, add request message, add response message. Remember the term message. It contains add response message. What is this add request message? It is nothing but integer A, integer B. And what is this add response message? It is nothing but C. So this add message and response message will be, we can see those messages information in messages part. Similarly, with subtraction as well. Subtraction request message, subtraction request response message, multiplication request message, multiplication response message. So, long story short, if you are having 10 operations, 10 into 2 messages, one is request, one is response, right? 10 into 2, 20 messages it will contain. Those messages information here we can see in this tab, messages element tab. Okay, so like that, for subtraction also the same case, irrespective, see how many messages we are using, that how many operations we are using, that into 2, those many messages will be there in the messages element. Till here are you guys are clear? Anyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes. You are understanding or not, or still it is blank? Why? We should know it, otherwise we will not understand. Definitely, nobody will explain. Target system will not sit and they will not make babysitting. Okay, they will just throw that that visual on our face. We have to understand which operation is doing what input it is expecting, what output it is giving. That we have to understand by seeing the visual. Okay, so that information, that request to message is nothing but a comma b will be contained in the messages part, and somebody has to validate, right? I am saying, see, calculation in the sense I am saying like it should be integers. Immediately I am saying it should be numbers. If I cannot add a plus b, right? A plus b is equals to integer. I cannot expect. Definitely that validation, data validation, whether it is numbers or strings or boolean values, what exactly the data type is, that data type's information will be there in types. In types, for example, a is nothing but a is the integer. That validation part will be there in the types. B is an integer. So what kind of data the elements are going to hold, that validation will be there in the types. So as a middleware person, first we will see the operations and then slowly we will move what exactly the request message, what exactly the response message, that part we will check, and slowly, okay, the request message has 2 elements. In the training session it has only 2 elements, but in the real time it could be 100 elements. 100 elements together we will call it as request message. 100 elements will be there. Those validations, whether it is an integer string, that part will be holded by types element in the wisdom. Why? Because why it is important? Why? Because when I am invoking any wisdom, I have to send the input, right? While sending input, I have to ensure if it is number, it is my responsibility to convert the data into integer and I have to send it. Okay, so it is completely our responsibility to send that type of message. So that is the reason these 3 elements plays a very key role in the wisdom. And coming to the bindings, what exactly the binding is between you and me, English is the protocol. Why? Because see, you are located in some other location. You are from, your background might be Telugu or Hindi or some other language, Tamil, okay, Marathi, whatever the case is. But when I am speaking English, you are able to understand it, right? So between you and me, the communication protocol is English. In the same way, why? Because mule is one third party vendor, right? Now mule has to communicate with the third party service, third party wisdom. It has to provide communication. So whatever the data is sent by Mule API, that wisdom should able to understand, okay, hey, this fellow is sending some integer. So that sync should be there, right? It has to understand, right? So the so what type of protocol it is going to use, that information will be contained in the that information will be contained in the bindings part. So in the bindings part, it contains communication protocol information. Between you and me, English is the protocol. But how about the WSDL and Mule API? It is nothing but SOAP. SOAP is the communication protocol that can be used for establishing communication. Okay. So what type of SOAP, whether the SOAP version 1.1 we are using or 1.2 we are using, the version details and everything that bindings will contain. So we don't need to worry. We are not that much bothered about bindings information. Okay, whatever they are using, some people, some SAP service, sometimes they will use 1.2 version. The older ERP systems will use 1.1 version. So it is completely like the version they are going to use. So that information will be there in the bindings. So communication protocol. Okay, communication protocol information, especially it contains SOAP info. Okay. Services is nothing but the location where exactly the code is running. See, they have given one URL, they have given only the wisdom, only like the interface they have given, what exactly it contains, that information, that XML they have given, that's all. But the actual Java class, see, even though I'm hitting that wisdom means it has to go to the Java class, it has to write, it has to execute the logic, and it has to bring back the result. Finally, that is the one it should happen. So where exactly that actual code is running, in which system it is running, its IP address and everything. For example, you guys have written this Java class. You have exposed as a wisdom. That wisdom you have given to me. Okay, I am using in my Mule API. I am hitting that wisdom. Till there it is fine. Okay, when I am hitting that addition and Mule is sending integer A, integer B. These through two values it is sending. It is through wisdom it is sending. That is till that point also it is fine. But after receiving that A and B, whatever the code is there in your system Java class, it has to go to the Java class and it has to execute that A plus B, and result it has to give back. So finally, ultimately, finally, where the code is running, to that code only it will go, right? In your system, that code is there. Even though you have given that URL is fine, but actual code is running in your IP address. So in your system. So for connecting to your system, I need some IP address, right? That address location, I need it. So that address will be contained in the services. So as a middleware person, we should know what exactly each and what exactly this each and element is holding, that we have to understand. Okay. So that information will be contained in the services part. Are you guys clear? Is that fine?
Yes, Nitya.
Yes, fine. So this is about wisdom. We will see some sample wisdom. Okay. We will search with some sample wisdom. So that sample wisdom. Okay. We will see some sample wisdom. Then you will understand example. If we take any wisdom, open wisdom, let me showcase some. Just I'm trying to. Okay. Calculated wisdom. See, here we have. If we open this wisdom, just to see, any wisdom will contain messages. All these are messages. So many messages are there. This is port type. Bindings. If you see, bindings information. Last is service. So you keenly observe closely. You can closely observe this. See, it contains wisdom. It contains types, right? Types. Whatever the types I have told you, the types. Next, messages, right? Addition message, addition input, addition output, subtraction input, subtraction output, multiplication input, multiplication output, division in, division out. So next part is messages it contains. Next is port types. If you see the port type, operation, addition, right? Subtraction, multiplication, division. So as soon as a visual is given, I can I can just I can observe that here four operations are there. In these operations, each operation is taking add input, add output. What is this add input? Add input is nothing but message. Where this message is referring at the top. Add soap input. If you go to add soap input, here is the message. And if you see that add message is again referring to an element. Where is that element? That element is in types. If you go here, see add element is there. In the add element, int A, int B. And this int A, integer A, integer B is of types integers. Are you able to understand the path, how we have to check?
Yes, Nitya. Like, what is the difference between Wisdom and RAML? Like,
Ramal is like, yes, good question. SOAP service, first for understanding that you should know it, what exactly the SOAP service and REST service. Okay. SOAP is nothing but WSDL based. REST is nothing but RAML based. Simple. Long story short.
okay, do we use the both languages in real time?
No. See, whatever
Mm.
the now whatever I am discussing is wisdom. That means SOAP based wisdom, SOAP based
Oh,
service. Okay. So we are brokers, right? We are sitting in between. We should be able to communicate with any type of service, any type of adapters. Some people will give wisdom, some people will give rest service. Rest service they will give. So see, for soap services, this is the template. Okay, this is the template. By seeing the visual, we will understand what exactly the target system is going to be. In the same way, for understanding the REST services, Ramal normally, if Mule wants to give REST service to the source system. Let me keep it in this way. I am giving the URL. That URL, like REST service, I want to give. Then there should be some template where I have to read. See, this is the operation, get method, post method. So in terms of REST services, what all the methods here in SOAP services, directly we will see the port types and we will understand what operations are there. Addition is there, subtraction is there, multiplication is there. Directly by seeing the port types, I can understand. But for understanding REST service, for understanding REST service, and in the REST services, we will not be having like addition subtraction. Always we will be having get method, post method, put method, delete method, right? So those
yes.
methods, and for each method, what is the input, what is the output? Here we are saying it as messages. There we will say input, not messages. Like what input we are trying to what sample input we are trying that REST service is expecting, what response we will get from that REST service. All that we will write in a RAM. That is the only difference. Okay.
Okay.
For
Yes.
representing, long story short, for representing sub services, visual we will use. For representing REST services, RAM we will use. That is the difference. I hope I have answered your question. Right? Are you clear?
Yes, yes, Nitya.
Yes, that's fine. Okay. So that is the difference. And see, if you observe, this is the wisdom. So tell me about Puja. Are you able to understand? Ashrita, Navya, are you getting what I'm trying to say?
Yes, Nitya.
Yes,
Yes.
Nitya.
Long story short, here, simply I will see like our eyes will go on four types. Four types always refers operations. This only, even when I am a fresher, I also remember in this way only. That operations will contain messages. That messages will refer elements. That's all. Elements. That's all. Operations will be there in four types. Messages will be there in like above to four to type. Elements will be above to messages. So if you observe this, so that in that way only it is there now. Our analysis will start from here. It is referring messages. Just above to that messages we have to check. Addition message. So again this messages is referring element. Where is that element? It is in types. Okay, add element. Go to that add method, add element, the element add. What is that add is containing? It is containing integer A, integer B, which is of types numbers. That means integers. That's all. Again, add response also the same case. Add result is a so it is very important to understand the wisdom. Otherwise, in the requirements TS document, what they will give is okay. Hit addition and invoke addition method. That's all. Only simple line they will give. What is the input? What is the output? Which input we have to give while calling that visitor? It is our responsibility to understand. So that understand we will get by seeing the messages. Again, messages is referring elements. Okay, we will have to give integer A, integer B, then integer A, integer B, and we have to select the method as addition. Then we will get the response. That understanding we have to do ourselves. Nobody will explain. Okay. So these three parts are very, very important. And last but not least, bindings, to be frank, we will not care about it. Okay. We will not at all. After port type that bindings information, binding information, no worries. We don't need to see it is all giving the information about protocol information. Okay. What is that? Literally it is using whether protocol, what is its version, what is its style, all that information will be contained in the bindings, which is not for us, it is not important. Okay, that's fine. The element will be there, but it is protocol information. That's all. And the here, this is the location where the code is running. The code is running. Whenever I am giving that integer A, integer B, it will go to this location and it will get the result and it will give that result to us. Okay. Quickly we will call this service in our Mule API. Now you got the understanding on visual, right? That is what my understanding. If you have understood, let's move and let's go POC. Mhm.
Is it mandatory to write WSDL for soap services?
Hey, we are not going to write Akila. Definitely,
Yeah, yeah.
we are not going to write anything. They will give
Yeah,
us,
the
we have to
aspect.
understand.
Yes,
Okay?
yes. Yeah.
We are not going to write, but we have to understand now what that fellows has given. See, in your mule TS
Okay,
document, they will specify one thing. Hey, invoke this subtraction. That's all. That single statement they will give. But invoking subtraction means what? Some input you have to send in the transformation, right? Otherwise, how you will get the response?
yes.
That understanding where you will get by seeing the wisdom. Okay, they are saying subtraction. Okay, subtraction method is there in prototype. Okay, what this operation is expecting, our thinking starts from there. Okay, in the messages it is referring again an element. Again, I will go to that element. Okay, these two are the elements. So while invoking these two elements, I need to send from new. So here it is only two, but in the real time, sometimes it is like create customer, update customer, delete customer, create account, update account. So many elements values we are going to send. Here it is only an calculation service, so that is the reason we are very very fair, like very free, only sending 2 elements. But in the real time, it is, if it is like order management, create order management, and they have exposed the order visitor, then in that order means, you know, it will contain billing information, it contains order information, it contains credit card information, all that information you have to send through mule, right? Input.
Yes.
Yes, that is the reason I'm stressing, like we should know our analysis should, our analysis we have to be very clear.
Okay.
Okay, fine. So let me, okay, if you guys are very pretty much clear means I will start off with executing the sample. Let it start. I will first write down the steps. Okay, Mule API. Now I will try to build. So this is the URL which I am going to call. Okay, this wisdom I am going to call. This is an open wisdom. I am giving you on chat box as well for your practice. It will be useful. So let me give. There is a chat box. Where is the chat box? See, I am pinging this URL. Keep it handy. Copy it and save it in your systems. While you are doing this sample, it will be useful to you. Now, let me write the steps. Okay. First, I'll try to create one configuration file. Already project is there. One more configuration file I will create. Or if you are interested to go with new project creation, yes, you can go for it. No problem. Okay. So one configuration file I'll create. I'll name it as visitor invocation. Okay. And then flow I will use. In the flow, listener I'm going to use. Okay. Going to use in my source. Okay. Flow contains two things, right? So in this flow, on the source, I use listener. Okay. I'll use listener, and in the process, I'm going to invoke wisdom. For invoking that wisdom from the mule stand, we have a connector called consume. Okay, we will use the consume connector and we will try to hit that wisdom. Okay, and again we have to send the inputs, right? So definitely we need transform message. So in this transform message will be used for sending inputs. Again we will track the, this is like for request to transform. Request to transform I will use for sending the inputs, and I will track the response that is going to get from the wisdom. Okay, that is nothing but output. I will track it and I will send it to the caller. The person who is calling my mule API, to that person it will go. Okay, these are all the steps. Now let me, okay, let me do it. Okay, fine. File operations we have done. Okay, fine. Even I don't want to confuse. Two more file operations are there that anyhow we will try to cover. Now anyhow we have discussed on wisdom, right? So let me quickly create a new project so that calling REST service, calling web service will be in one project, which is good for us. Okay, services. Okay, I'm calling it as services. Both the services I will try to call in this project. Okay, fine. So here instead of configuration file, just go for project only. Okay. configure flow. Okay. Services flow. The sockets listener, no. This listener I am trying to keep. Okay. Bear me 10 minutes. Anyhow, today we have started bit late now. My system got restarted. Let me complete this sample and I will close it. Okay. Wasting the time. Okay. Well, fine. Meanwhile, let me open my Postman as well parallelly. Okay. Let me open that thing as well. It will get open. Now in the process, I'll try to give consume. See, web service consume is there. You have to drag and drop. Okay. That one. What happened to this list? That is fine. Consume. If you see consume, see web service, web, upper arrow, lower arrow. It is a synchronous process. It gives the response immediately. Okay. Now click on this. See, this is the SOAP version. It is nothing but protocol. Okay. Now, whatever the visitor I have pinged you, the same service I'm going to call it. Okay. I'm going to call the same service. Just you can refresh it so that it gives the information on operations. So it is loading. It is showing the solving metadata. So let it load first. Okay, let it load. It takes some time. Why? Because open visitor we are trying to invoke, so definitely it takes some time for loading. It is somewhere in some IP address it is running now. It will take some time for loading it. Fair enough. The service name we got it as calculator. See, anything is fine, anything is fine, and this is a C. So in Visual, all these elements are there. Location is nothing but Visual URL. Service is nothing but our service name. Service, if you keenly observe, the service is nothing but this is a service name, right? Calculator. Service name. That name, it got populated by itself. Okay. It got populated by itself. And port. Port contains what? Operations information as per our discussion. So go to port. There is a port. See, this is the port type, right? Two ports are there. Port 1, port 2. So two ports. So if this is the meaning is like two types of protocols it is using. Anything we can use, no problem. I have selected this, so it is showing that one. Okay. And address. Address also it is like service address only. This is the location, right? This location, address location. That address location it is showcasing in it. So whatever we are, whatever the URL we are hitting, automatically the parts are getting populated. Click on OK. Okay. Yes. The connection to that web service we have established. Now, see, these many operations are there, right? These many operations. I'm trying to call add operations. Why? Because my requirement is adding adding the numbers. So this method I want to call. Okay. So that is fine. And in the transform message, you have to configure transform message. If you open the transform message, see integer A, integer B. Automatically that int A, int B is coming. This int A, int B is nothing but in the types already that elements are defined, right? Yes. Now from the mule I need to get input as well, right? So for that, let me build some. Here is the body. Here is the body. Okay. I'll try to take one more thing. Raw JSON. I will try to keep A, B. JSON, some JSON, I am sending it. Remove this one. Okay. I want to add 18 and I want to send the two numbers as 18, 30. Okay. These two are the two numbers. Okay. So what I'll try to do from the payload, I'm getting it as A. So it is better to define metadata. Better to define metadata. In these cases, what we have to do is like instead of keeping like payload dot like that, it is better to create metadata. Okay. So for defining metadata, we have to save this message and metadata creation already I have discussed with you guys, right? So simply just I will take one file. I'll just keep like this. Okay, numbers I'm going to send, and this is my JSON. For creating metadata, definitely we need sample payload. Okay, add input. Okay, I will save it in downloads only. Add input file. Okay, so dot JSON. Okay, save it in the downloads. It will save. Very good. Now go to metadata. Create that metadata. So we are very clear that we have to send two parameters to web service input. Let me create quickly. Okay, JSON file, sample file I'm taking, browse it, go to downloads, input JSON, right? Check it, numbers I'm getting, very good. The metadata will get updated. Okay, this number you are trying to map it to A. Okay, automatically when you are doing, you are not changing the format, automatically it is changing the format as XML. If you observe, it is trying to change, it is you directly change it to XML, and B also we have mapped it. So after sending A and B, definitely we will get some result, right? The result is nothing but C or result that we have to capture, right? See, this is the add response, this is the number, right? So in the form of JSON, I'll do one thing. JSON direct payload. I'll try to print the payload. So that is nothing but I am trying to track this result. Okay. Now let me keep a debugger. Okay. Now let me run it in the debugger. I'll just run the project and I will stop the class. Okay. Bear me for 5 more minutes. Is that fine? It is deployed. Now let me hit it. HTTP. It is web service, right? Web. Okay. I'm sending it, transforming the message. It got converted. See, if you have observed the result we are getting. Which result we are getting? The result 48 we are getting. 48 it is giving back. Right? 48 is the one which was given by web service. As it is, I have transformed into JSON. See, వచ్చింది కదా 48. So sometimes we have to see directly payload I have mapped here. Instead of that, for response also, you can create one more metadata, take some sample and try to map it instead of payload. Then in your own format, we will get. Manaki body when name raw. We will not get this body, headers, everything. This will we will not get. If we need our own format means some example file we have to give. We have to create metadata and just to map it. That's all. Okay. Is that fine?
Yes, Nitya.
Okay. Yes. So I am going to give homework. So try to call subtraction and multiplication, but based on condition. This keeps your brain work. Okay. So it should be in such a way. See, A, B is there. Take one more parameter. Okay. Check condition. Check. Just to check. One integer you have to take. Okay. If at all you are sending it as add. If you are sending it as add, for example, SUB. If you are sending it as subtraction, SUB, then it has to go to subtraction. It has to go to that subtraction thing and it has to execute, it has to bring back the response. If at all, if you are sending as multiplication, MUL, then it has to do the multiplication, it has to bring back. For doing that, what is required, how we can do that analysis tomorrow, you tell me. You guys has to tell. If we are not able to tell, I will try to explain it. Definitely, I will be doing in the class, but definitely this is something like I'm giving for your brain work. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, try to do it. Try to use all the activities. Try to use your brain works here. Here, condition is there. Based on some condition, two invocations should happen. You have to check the condition and you have to invoke it. How you can invoke that tomorrow you have to tell. Okay, tomorrow same time. Okay. Okay, guys. Chalo. Thank you. Bye. Sorry for delay for
Thank you.
10 minutes today. Tomorrow it will be like in
Thank
on
you.
time only. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Nitya.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.